Sam Pittman and Arkansas traveling to Alabama to face on the Crimson Tide. They're 19.5 point favorites in this game, coming off a massive win for the SEC West versus Texas A&M. And Drew, this is an Arkansas team that when they first got Sam Pittman, they were ranked 8th in the country at one point. And over the last 2 or 3 years, they've consistently taken steps back when we've been expecting the opposite. Obviously, they just lost their offensive coordinator in the offseason to TCU. And I think that's had a bigger effect on their offense than a lot of people realize. I think that the last guy they had really knew how to utilize KJ Jefferson in the passing game. And so far this season, he's looked like a statue in the pocket to me sometimes. Now, has his O-line been doing everything they could to help him out? Not in every situation. But with that being said, you got to have some maneuverability in the pocket. And I haven't seen that from KJ Jefferson so far this year. Of course, they still have Rocket Sanders at running back, but they still haven't been able to get a win. 4-game losing streak, playing some big teams, LSU, A&M, and Ole Miss. Drew, with all that being said, Alabama 19.5 point favorites. I mean, what do you think about that point spread?
Yeah, I mean, that's a point spread that's a little bit up there, I think, to the naked eye at first. But when you really take a look at it, I mean, Alabama is coming off a really big win against Texas A&M. I mean, we got to give Alabama some credit. Me and you both picked Alabama to actually lose that game and get upset on the road. They found a way to get it done. Jalen Milroe actually looked like he knew what he was doing in the second half. He was completing some really good passes, even in the intermediate game, which I thought was one of his biggest struggles. I think he did a good job there. Found Jermaine Burton. I think Alabama and him have found their guy in Jermaine Burton. That's good to always have a wide receiver number one, which is something I think Alabama's been missing for a while. There hasn't been a Devontae Smith or a Jerry Jeudy or anyone of that nature on this team for a couple of years now. So if Jermaine Burton can kind of fill that role the best he can, I think Alabama's offense is going to take a step forward. And the same with Arkansas, it's, you're expecting them to take steps forward, and it's just not happening. I mean, you mentioned that as well. They're on a 4-game losing streak. I do get that they've played some tough opponents, Ole Miss, Texas A&M, and LSU, and so on and so on. But I do think Arkansas is a team that is capable of winning at least one of those. They just haven't. And Sam Pittman might still be a really good coach. Players still might like playing for him. But at some point, when you're losing a bunch of games in a row, and then you look to your next game and you see Alabama on the road, I mean, it's going to be hard for as a coach to get your players ready and to get them to have some confidence. And KJ Jefferson, like you said, he hasn't looked himself. He's been in college football for so long now. He's making a lot of throws and bad interceptions that you just don't expect to see from a guy who's been in the league for that long. I mean, he's up to 6 interceptions now. And go back and watch that Ole Miss game. He had one of the worst interceptions I think I've ever seen. I mean, it's literally like he saw the backer sitting there and he just literally didn't see him. He threw it right to him. I don't know what that was. He can't do that in this game, and that's obvious, right? You can't turn the ball over against this Alabama team. Say what you want about Alabama and how they looked at the beginning of this year. They're still a good football team, Aiden, and Alabama is not looking to slow down here.
Yeah, no, you mentioned it. Coming off of that Texas A&M game, Jalen Milroe did silence a lot of doubters. Texas A&M's defense was a good defense, and he was forced to put the ball through tight windows in the air, and he did find Jermaine Burton for that. And we know what kind of a coach Nick Saban is. I believe he's going to try to keep that momentum rolling, coming back home, facing a not-so-good Arkansas team. He's going to want his players to have the utmost confidence heading into the next game on their schedule, which is Tennessee. So I think that he's going to look and put the foot on the gas. And you mentioned it as far as Arkansas goes. You cannot give this Alabama team extra possessions by throwing the ball to their defense. That just cannot happen. That is how points or how games get out of hand very quickly. And when you have a front seven like Alabama does, that's absolutely dominant, mixed with the run game that they have. Although Alabama's O-line has not been at the elite level that we're used to seeing them, they have still been able to get it done on the ground. So I think that Arkansas has a tough task ahead of them. They're going to have to rely on the run, which is, going to be tough with that D-line that Alabama has, looking like one of the best front sevens in the country. They're going to have to keep the ball out of Jalen Milroe's hands because it's no secret. Alabama has reverted to an older style of play that, includes time of possession and controlling the ball through the run game. And you might not get a bunch of possessions to score. And if you're handing the ball over to Alabama in the process of that, you're taking away 3 of maybe only 8 possessions you might have in that game. So with that being said, Arkansas is going to have to be able to secure the ball and control it at Alabama. To take the wind out of the sails too, sorry, because, at Alabama is no easy place to play. And they are coming off one of their biggest wins. when a lot of people wrote them off. Fans were saying Jalen Milroe is a running back playing quarterback and all this. And then he just comes off that great performance versus Texas A&M. And now Alabama is the only undefeated team in the SEC West, and they control their own destiny. So the fans are going to be out and pumped. Arkansas is going to have to be able to take them out of it early by controlling the ball with the run game.
Yep. And Alabama's defense has been they've taken a step forward this year. I mean, that's no secret. Like you said, they kind of reverted to an old play style with keeping the ball on the ground and having a very physical defense that'll come up and hit you. I think Alabama's tackling has been a lot better this year. The play from the secondary has been a lot better. And Alabama's defense, played really well against Texas A&M and Max Johnson. Max Johnson, the Texas A&M quarterback, we're very high on. I think they did a pretty good job of keeping him in check and contained. And KJ Jefferson, he just hasn't been as threatening, and I've said this already, but he just hasn't been as threatening as he has been in years past with his legs. And I think if you want to hurt Alabama, I think you can do it by maybe having a running quarterback. So maybe KJ Jefferson finds that, and he's able to scramble and pick up some first downs, which I think he's going to have to. I don't see Arkansas having much success running the ball in this game, and I think that's a big red flag. When you go on the road and you play at a stadium at this magnitude, you're going to want a good run game. I mean, if you can't run the ball, there's only so much you can do. A passing game is not always going to travel well on the road, especially against a secondary like this. The only reason I think that people might be a little iffy on taking the spread for Bama is maybe it's a noon game, maybe they come off to a slow start. But I'm just not anywhere near as high on Arkansas as I've been in the years past. And honestly, over the past couple of weeks, I'm starting to grow on Alabama. This is a team I harped on a lot in the beginning of the season, but that's just kind of how I do it. I'm going to call out a team if they're playing bad, but I'm going to give them a lot of credit when they play well. And let's give Alabama a lot of credit. They still control their own destiny, no conference losses. And this is an Alabama team and Nick Saban that's going to get his players ready to go because they know they can't lose another game or else out of playoff contention with the loss of Texas. But undefeated in the conference play gives them a shot at the SEC title game, and they'll go on to the playoffs if they win that. With all that being said, 19.5 points. I do think Alabama is going to cover. I was wrong on them last week. I know it's a decent amount of points, and maybe Alabama isn't covering for a little bit in this game, but I do expect them to kind of surge away in that fourth quarter. I think they're eventually going to wear down this Arkansas defense. I think Arkansas's offense is going to sputter a little bit, and I do expect KJ Jefferson to maybe have a turnover or two. Alabama's going to get some possessions, and I do think Alabama's going to be capable of taking advantage of that and pull away in that fourth quarter. I'm going to take Alabama to cover the 19.5 spread here.
Yeah, Drew, I'm with you. A lot of times 19.5, that's something that I wouldn't normally touch, but we talked about it earlier. Arkansas's offensive coordinator is in his first year with the new system. The result of that is you're going to be running a lot of basic stuff. And, it's no secret, Nick Saban is a defensive guru. He's notorious for attacking the same formation with the same motion 3 to 4 different ways. And I think that that's just going to be the case. I think that Nick Saban's defense is too dynamic. It's going to be resulting in too many 3-and-outs for this Arkansas team. And, playing on a defense with a bad offense, I've been there where you're a part of a 8, 9, 10-play drive and you get a stop or force a field goal, and then your offense goes out in 3-and-outs in 45 seconds. You're back on the field. And 2 or 3 possessions of that happening can really wear down on a defense no matter how talented they are, much less talking about playing versus an Alabama team. So I think Alabama will get it done, 19.5. I think that Nick Saban is going to keep the momentum rolling and look to, really put a stamp that Alabama has not gone out of the picture as far as elite college football teams in this game.
Well, that's going to do it for this video, guys. As always, if you enjoyed the video, please leave a thumbs up, subscribe, and hit the notification bell. Those things help us out tremendously and more than you guys will know. And for those of y'all who've stuck around for a little bit, we've been around a couple seasons now. We really do appreciate you guys for always coming in and watching our videos. And we've pumped out a lot of content for this week coming up for college football. So be sure to give those videos some love and look at them as well. And be sure to get active in the comment section. Let us know down below your opinions and your thoughts on this game and what you would like to see moving forward. But that's going to do it for this video, guys. We'll see you in the next one.